Okay guys, good morning. We're going to continue our discussion about self in Judaism. I want to recap what we've said up until this point, because this week, today and Wednesday, God willing, we're going to kind of come to a crescendo of the things that we've been discussing. Okay, and from there on, we're going to bring it down to a few more practical matters. Okay. We discussed that Judaism has a revolutionary idea about how to regard yourself. Okay, that is that we are godly. Okay, there's something godly about us. Okay, the concept mitzvah implies that there's a partnership between ourselves and God. Okay, there are ways in which the expressions in our tradition, in the Gemara, in different places, that there are ways that we can become partners in creation. Okay, if we express our godliness. Okay, we learned even that the biggest of criminals, okay, in Jewish thought, despite their crimes, are still considered godly. Okay, more than that, if we see someone doing something wrong, okay, or doing whatever he's doing. Okay, if we see someone, if we come into contact with someone, okay, and the same applies to ourselves, okay, and we don't see the godliness in them, then that's not a problem in them and their actions and their behavior, but it's a problem in us and our interpretation of reality. Okay? Now you remember the pasuk, Ki kilat Elohim bazui. Okay, the curse of God is hanging. Okay, or is being shamed. Okay, and the Midrash explains that hanging person, okay, so closely resembles God even after his crime and after his punishment. Okay? After that we discussed what our self is made up of. Okay, and we discussed we have the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov. Okay, Yetzer Hara meaning the inclination to otherness, the inclination to individuality. Okay, with it in itself. Okay, within itself. That inclination is something which is healthy and which is important in order for us to really come to the understanding that we have something individualistic and something unique to bring to the world. Okay? If we take that, however, to an extreme, that inclination, that thought, that mindset, okay, that's what we call ego, and it turns into what we call evil. Okay? If I understand the sum up of myself, okay, as my physical being, as my physical form, and my individuality comes to serve only one purpose, and that's me, okay, then that's what we call evil. Okay, but Ra within itself doesn't mean evil. Right? You guys remember we discussed this, okay? The other inclination is the inclination to holiness, spelled W-H-O-L-I, etc. Okay? That's our inclination to the absolute. Okay, that's where we sense that we are not individual, but we're part of something greater. Okay? If you put the two together, okay, both is Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara, then we get something which is called Tov Me'od. Very good. It's not only a quest for godliness, it's not only a quest to express our godliness, okay, but it's a quest to express godliness through our Yetzer Hara, through our individuality. Okay, to express our own individual godliness. Okay? And that's what we get to today. Okay? What I want to discuss today is I guess a concept in self-awareness. Okay? Getting to know ourselves. Okay? And we're going to see it kind of through the lens or through the prism of understanding what the name is, what a name is in Jewish thought. Okay? The theme or the concept of name repeats itself countless times throughout the Torah. Okay, right now we're actually reading a book of the Torah, the second book of the Torah, called the Book of Schmatte, names. Okay, which is an interesting thing, right? You know, it's like I always thought that the Book of Exodus is, the Book of Exodus is much more appropriate for a book about what this book is about. Okay, what do we have in the Book of Schmatte, in the second book of the Torah? We discuss, slavery, okay, redemption, Okay? The collapse of entire world power. Okay? The revelation of God to mankind, revealing the purpose of creation. Okay? The building of a sanctuary where God becomes revealed to mankind. Okay? And those are pretty, heavy themes. Okay? It's like, take the, top Hollywood film of all time. Okay? And then you have to, you receive, let's say you're a director, I don't know, you're a movie producer. Okay? You get the script on your desk one morning and you're reading through and you're sure this is going to be epic. Okay? This is going to, blow out all box office sales in all of history. Okay? People are going to be talking about this film till the end of time. Okay? So what are we going to call it?
Avatar.
Avatar. But let's say we call it, let's say you took Avatar and you called it cup. I don't know, you call it chair, plastic. It loses its epicness. Okay? What's a name? Okay? What does the title come to express? What does the name come to express?
The context, the contents of the movie or the book.
The contents of what we're discussing. Okay, excellent. We're going to see that in 1 second. Excellent. But the big question is, okay, you take this epic story, okay, the Book of Schmatte, okay, slavery, Exodus, okay, freedom, bondage, okay, revelation, and then you call it ping pong. I don't know what you call it. Okay, it's a real letdown. Who's going to go to see a movie called Names? Right? And that's really the question which we want to ask today is, what is a name? Okay? Or, for those of us from Her Majesty's the Queen's Commonwealth, we would ask it as, what's in a name? You didn't get my quote. Got it. Okay, excellent. So let's see Shakespeare. Okay, this is going to be our springboard. Okay? Romeo and Juliet. Josh, you know Romeo and Juliet? Not the movie over there with Leonardo DiCaprio. What's that?
Read it.
You read it? Excellent. Okay. Time, you heard of Romeo and Juliet?
What?
Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare. You heard of Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Okay. Good guy. Okay. And here's where we're going to start the discussion. Okay. It's from Shakespeare. Do we have two volunteers? One who's going to act out the part of
Me and
Juliet.
Yeah, Chaim.
Okay. I mean,
You are Romeo or Juliet?
He's Juliet.
No, he's Romeo.
Yeah, he's right. It'll be so.
Why?
Go on.
I want him to be Juliet.
No, he'll do right now. Chaim's
Okay.
right.
O Romeo, Romeo, what art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. For if thou wilt not be sworn my love and no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more or shall I speak at this?
Tease but thy name, it is my enemy. And thou art with thyself, thou art not a Montague. What? Is it Montague? Montague.
See, page.
What?
Just have to be careful.
It is not hands nor food, nor. Oh my god! That's
That probably didn't happen in, back then. We're reading Romeo and Juliet, right? You want to take it from "Tis but thy name"?
Tis but thy name. Wait. Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Lord thyself, though not a Montague. What Montague? He is not a hand nor foot, nor arm nor face, nor any other part belonging to Amanda. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which you call a rose, by any other name, would smell sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which use, without the title. Romeo, love thy name, and for that name, which is no part of these, take all myself.
I take thee at the word. Call me but love, and I'll be baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
Oh. What man art thou that thus be screamed in night, so stumblest on my counsel?
By a name, I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have yet not drunk 100 words of that tongue's utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you. You guys can get British citizenship, honorary British citizenship.
Not that I want.
Okay. You guys, first of all, you all know the plot of Romeo and Juliet, right?
No.
Okay, Romeo and Juliet are sons and daughters respectively of two families, two families at war who are arch enemies. Okay?
Those two people.
Pardon me?
What are those called?
It's like Troy.
Okay. And they fall in love. Okay, in this passage, okay, what Romeo and Juliet are struggling with, okay, is that there's not something. Or let's hear your analysis. What's going on over here? What's Romeo and Juliet? What are they dealing with here? You guys probably feel like you're back in high school, right? You have to like analyze Shakespeare.
Oh, I got away with it. Go away from it.
Juliet's saying the only thing keeping them together is the fact that his name happens to be Montague.
The only thing keeping them apart
I mean, yeah,
is the name.
from being together.
Okay. Meaning that what? Meaning that name is something which is fundamental.
Or practically
That's the practical problem.
unhelpful.
Unhelpful? Okay.
Build them a quiz.
What's that?
I was trying to think of like there's like an American equivalent kind of thing with like the half and the quiz. And I was just like, I forgot what it was called.
It's okay, we don't have to copy everything for the British,
There's Troy.
It's the same.
Alright. How does Romeo how do Romeo and Juliet relate to their names? Obviously they don't like it, right? Obviously they would want to change it in order that they would be able to be together. Okay, but what does that express about how they relate to their names, essentially?
Doesn't really mean anything.
But it doesn't really mean anything. Right? A name is nothing.
What is it?
Okay, it's coincidental. Okay, it has nothing. It doesn't express anything about my true nature. It doesn't express anything about who I am, about my qualities. Okay, about my traits, right? So if my name was written on a piece of paper, then I would just rip it out. Okay, but at the same time, they're also struggling with the fact that it's the name which is keeping them apart. Okay, and it's going to ultimately keep them apart till death. Okay? So as much as they feel that their name is something which is totally coincidental, something which is totally unessential, okay? It's still a practical and true stumbling block. It's still a wall that stands in between the two of them. Okay? Now my question is the following. My question is, what do you guys think? Okay, what do you guys think about names? Okay, before Chaim mentioned that a name, okay, is an expression of the contents. Right? So you agree with Romeo, disagree with Romeo? You're Romeo now. Okay, let's pretend that you're Romeo. Okay? And you have this, you're in his situation. Okay? Do you honestly believe you can just throw away your name?
No, like your name is something that represents like who you are, because it's something you have been like always called. It's like the last name, like is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Oliver.
What's that? What is it?
My name's Oliver.
I have a Jewish name and
Okay.
a Swedish name. No, but like the last name, it's like really important because it shows which family you're from.
expresses your tradition, your history, your roots.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone agree, disagree?
Agree.
Yeah. So you guys disagree essentially with Shakespeare, is that what's going on here? Just want to check with a room full of British guys. No one's coming to Shakespeare's defense?
No, I agree with Shakespeare.
Why? How's that?
I think names are overrated.
Why?
It's about what they mean as a person.
How so? What give me examples.
I think plenty of people go through like witness protection and like still can deal with not being called their original name.
So you're saying a name is interchangeable?
Yeah. I
Have
mean,
you-
it sounds weird when you are called something else, or when you call someone a name that isn't theirs, but like you get over it and then that's their name.
Let's take your example, okay? When someone goes through a name change, is it just the name that they leave behind? Why do they actually do that? Why do they actually change their name?
Maybe it's like
They want to leave their identity behind.
They want to leave their identity behind. There's something about their identity. Someone's threatening them or something like that. Okay? Your name becomes deeply attached to who you are. Okay? And when you change your name, okay, you're not just changing, hi, my name is the sticker that's on your chest. Okay? But you're changing your entire identity. You're changing your life experiences. Okay, you're disconnecting from what was before. Okay, by the way, it's an interesting thought. This is a sidebar before we even get into trying to understand what a name is. Okay, but the Rambam, when he discusses the Hilchot of Tshuva, okay, the process of Tshuva, the process of repentance and of change, the Rambam says that someone who does Tshuva would often change their name. Okay, it's appropriate for someone doing tshuva, someone in a tshuva process, someone in this process of change, okay, self-change, okay, self-improvement, that they'll change their name. Okay? Now metaphorically, what the Rabbi is telling us is that the behavioral patterns that I followed, okay, that right now I want to shun, things which I did, which I no longer subscribe to, that's my past, and I'm disconnecting myself from that. Okay, you don't necessarily have to change your name from, Moshe to Shmerel. Okay? But you're disconnecting yourself from Moshe's actions and Moshe's behavior. Okay? There's something very essential. Okay? At the end of the day, okay, Romeo and Juliet had to die in order to be together. Okay? That is the end of the story, right?
it died.
Yeah. It's been like, 15 years since I read it. But that's what happens at the end, right? They can't be together.
I don't know.
What's that? Or any of the above. Okay, let's try to understand what a name is. Okay, and there's something extremely essential about it. Okay, which I want to get to. First, let's just run through a few important sources. Not that Shakespeare wasn't an important source, but now we're going to see important Jewish sources as well. Okay, which give us kind of glimpses into understanding the important place that names play in our lives. Okay, or that names play in Judaism at all. Okay, right after the creation of man. Okay, we were just placed in the Garden of Eden. Okay, and the first source under where it says, "Hello, my name is." Okay, the first source. Okay, this is Bereshit Bet. I apologize that we don't have a translation this morning. Okay, ויצא השם אלוהים מן האדם כל חיית השדה וכל עוף השמיים ויבא האדם לראות מה יקרה לו וכל אשר יקרה לו האדם נפש חיה הוא שמו. So God, okay, creates all animals, okay, from the ground. They come from the ground, okay, and He creates all that flies in the sky, and He brings all of the creations, all of the animals, to Adam. This is the very first thing that happens. Okay, God places Adam in the Garden of Eden, tells him that you have to eat from all the fruits, okay, and you're not allowed to eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge, to the tree of knowledge. Yes, that's right. Okay, and then this is what happens. He brings all the animals to Adam. Okay, this is before there's man and woman. Okay, before the split, which I think we discussed this a few weeks ago, right? The split. Okay, but anyway, this is the very first thing that takes place in the history of mankind. The very first thing that man does. Okay, And he brings all the animals to man in order to see ma yikralo. What will man call him? This is like really important. We have to give everyone names, right? It's like, let's not have breakfast yet, we were just created. First we have to call everyone names. Everything that he calls to the animal, to that which has the life force within him, that is his name. Thank you very much. I didn't know that if you would call him his name, then that would be his name. What else? Who else is there in order to call him something else? Right? What is it about the fact that Adam is calling them their name? That this is their name, and not what? What does that mean? What does that verse mean? Okay, ויקרא אדם שמות לכל הבהמה ולעוף השמיים ולכל חיית השדה ולאדם לא מצא עזר כנגדו. And first thing that man does, okay, after being created, is to call names to all of the animals. Okay? What's the meaning of that? Why is it necessary that the very first thing that man is going to do, okay, you can't even take a shower after being created. He was created from the dirt. Why can't let him rest a little bit maybe? The very first thing that he does is to call names. Okay? So even from here we see perspective, okay, that the Torah is trying to teach us something very important about names. Okay, that's something which is vital, it's something which is essential. Okay? Listen to what Rabbeinu Bachaye, okay, was one of our older commentators explained. Okay, I'm in the second paragraph. ונראה לי ביור המדרש הזה, כי האדם הבין בחוכמתו ושכלו טבע כל בהמה וחיה, וקרא לכל אחד ואחד שם מעין הטבע והמידה שהכיר בה. The name, okay, represents, mirrors, reflects, expresses the totality of that particular animal. Okay? The name, okay, represents the inclinations, the nature, okay, the hierarchy, the function, okay, the qualities of the animal, of the creation. Okay? Hakol lefi tivehem umidotehem. Everything is according to their particular nature. Okay? And the truth is we don't need Rabbeinu Bachai to tell us that, because there's so much of a emphasis on name giving and name changing in the Torah. Okay, if you look at our forefathers, okay, throughout the book of Bereshit, okay, all of our forefathers undergo some kind of a change, some kind of an evolution of their names. Okay, Avram becomes Avraham. Okay, Sarai becomes Sarah. Okay, I didn't quote it, but the most, maybe the arch example is Yaakov. Okay, his transformation into Israel. Okay, and that's like a very, very celebratory event, the changing of Yaakov's name. Okay, with the angel, he fights with the angel, and then afterwards the angel changes his name because of this particular event, and then later on God again changes Yaakov's name to Israel. Okay, there's this focus on the name. Okay, when we get into our book, the Book of Schmatte, which we've been reading recently, then from the very onset, okay, okay, these are the names of the children of Israel who came down to Egypt, okay, together with Yaakov, with Jacob, everyone together with the whole families came, okay. Anyone who pays close attention to what's written in the Chumash, okay, if you open up to this particular pasuk, to this verse, okay, Shmot, the very first verse of the Book of Shmot, turn one page back to the very end of the Book of Bereshit, a few pages, depends on the edition, okay, but the last thing that we read about is the names of who came down to Egypt. So why does the Torah have to repeat it? Okay, what is the Torah trying to teach us here? In the commentators question this. Okay, but we see again the significance of name. Okay, the emphasis on understanding the names of the individuals who came. Okay, every single name is going to be accounted for. Every single name is going to have an honorary mention, even though it's totally unnecessary because we know exactly who came down, because 2 pages earlier we just read about it in the end of the Book of Bereshit. Okay? Let's take it a step further, then we'll try to understand the concept in depth. When Moshe is appointed by God to redeem the Jewish people from their bondage in Egypt, there's a long, lengthy discussion between Moshe and God, who should go, why he should go. Okay? Finally, it seems Moshe is in agreement that he's going to go. Okay, I'll do it. God, you told me, so I'll do it, I guess. Okay? But he has a question. Okay? This is definitely going to happen. Okay? And I can't go back to Egypt to redeem the Jewish people until you clarify one thing for me. And what's that? Listen to this. Shmot Perek Gimel. Okay, the third Perek in the book of Shmot. Okay, by the way, one more thing. Okay, if we were talking about the name of the book of Shmot, with all the things that we discussed before, bondage and Exodus and revelation and freedom, okay? The English name, okay, that we call the second book, Exodus, is probably much more appropriate. Okay, it'll sell much more copies. Okay, why are we calling it names and not Exodus? Why don't we call it Geulah, redemption? Okay, we're in on the page where it says, hello, my name is. Okay, the 1, 2, 3, fourth source on the page, which is Shmot Perek Gimel, the third chapter in the book of Shmot. We're discussing what is the significance of names in Judaism. Okay, we just saw that Shakespeare, okay, or Romeo and Juliet seem to think that a name is something that you can just cast off easily. Okay, it's not something which is essential. Okay, if it was written, then I would just rip it up. Okay, it has nothing to express about who I am. Okay, but at the same time we see, do you know the story of Romeo and Juliet?
For the most part.
Okay, good, because everyone here is British. Hey, if you don't know the story of Romeo, then almost everyone, you're right, almost everyone. Okay? But at the same time, they're struggling with the fact, sorry Josh, okay, they're struggling with the fact at the same time, okay, that while they think that the name is something totally essential, that's the only thing which is keeping them apart. Okay? Judaism seems to have a completely different take on what a name is. Okay, the very first act that man performs in the Garden of Eden is to call all the animals names. That's the first thing that God wants him to do. Okay, not to rest, not to take a shower after being created from the land. The first thing that he needs to do is to start calling names. Okay? That means that a name is something which is essential. A name is something which expresses the totality of the qualities, okay, the inclinations and the purpose of that creation. Okay? The Book of Shmot is called the Book of Shmot, even though the entire book discusses themes like bondage, slavery, freedom, revelation. Okay, the name, the title that we chose for it is not Exodus, it's not redemption. Okay, we're not like Bob Marley over here. What we're calling it is names. What's in a name? Okay, why is this so important? Okay, and the first thing that Moshe asks God when he's sent to redeem the Jewish people is the following. Okay, let's see it again. Shmot Perek Gimel, Pasuk Yud Gimel. Vayomer Moshe Elohim, Hinei Anochi ba b'nei Yisrael. I'm going to come to the Jewish people. V'amarti lahem Elohei avotechem, Shlachani aleichem. The God of your fathers has sent me to you. Ve'amru li, this is surely what will happen. They will tell me, Ma shmo, what is his name? Ma omar aleichem. What will I be able to answer then? Okay, for some reason Moshe is convinced that the very first question the Jewish people is going to ask him, okay, when he comes with news of their redemption, is what is the name of this God? Okay, how does he know that? Why would that be their question? Why is that even important? Who cares? Okay, let him be called, Bob, as long as he's going to take me out of slavery. Why do I need to know his name before I leave? Okay? And then the discussion goes on to explain what exactly their name is going to be. There's a conversation between Moshe and God, how they should express his name. Is it going to be Eheyeh, Asher Eheyeh, or just Eheyeh? Okay? If we continue in this entire story of the Exodus, okay, this name theme repeats itself over. Okay, at the beginning of Parshat Ve'era, which we read last week, okay, Shmot Perek Vav, Pasuk Bet, Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer elav Ani Hashem. Okay, God speaks to Moshe and tells him, I am Hashem. Okay, I am God. Vayira el Avraham el Yitzchak el Yaakov el Shaddai. I revealed myself to Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac in the name of El Shaddai. Ushmi Hashem lo nodati lahem. And this particular name was not made known to them. Okay? That's an important sentence. Who cares right now, okay, after the Jewish people have just gotten, work added on to their already difficult workload? Okay? This is important, that, let's have a discussion about what God's name is again. I thought we already discussed this. What's going on? Why is the story of Exodus totally revolving around names? Let's see one more source, and then I'll try to tie it all together. Okay? Shlomo Melech in the Book of Kohelet, okay, teaches us the following lesson. Okay, this is in Kohelet Perek Zayin Pasuk Aleph. Okay, he teaches Tov Shem Tov Mishem Tov. Okay, a good name is preferable to a good oil. Okay, a good oil meaning lavish life. Okay, a very high lifestyle. Okay, to have physical goodness. What's better than all the physical goodness in the world? Make a good name for yourself. Okay? And I'll tell you what I thought about this pasuk for the first time, this first verse. I was working for Bnei Akiva, and I was the head of Tafnit North America. You ever hear of Tafnit North America?
I applied to actually. We saw you on the commercial.
Oh yeah? So I was there. Okay, so I was running this program, okay, and we get to Lod. Have you guys been to Lod yet?
Yeah, I was there for 2 weeks.
Okay, so we get to Lod, and you know Ilan Oz? Ilan still works it, right? Okay, so he spoke to my group, and he told the group that this is your opportunity to leave a good name. Okay, this time living independently in the community. Okay, what name are you going to leave for yourself? Okay, and he gave an example. It's a very interesting thing if you think about it. Okay, there's it's a very powerful movie which recently came out. 127 Hours. Do you guys see it? About the climber. Okay, who I actually didn't see the movie in it, but whatever, I watched a documentary about it. Okay, this climber went and he got stranded and stuck in a crater. Okay, is that the right way to express it? It's a crater type thing? Okay. And a boulder fell on him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, and a boulder fell. John, you saw this movie? Okay, and a boulder fell on him. Okay, and he's stuck there in the middle of the wilderness. No one's around. Far away from all civilization. No one knows where he is. Okay, and time is passing. Okay, and he's losing, all his vitals. Okay, he's run out of food. He's run out of water. Okay, and at the end, I think it's in the 4th day that he's down there. He has no food left. He has no water left. Okay, night is approaching. Okay, when it's freezing cold. Okay, he's determined that he's not going to wake up the next morning. Okay, so what he does is he takes his pocket knife. Okay, and he carves into the wall R.I.P. and he writes his name and the date. Okay, he got out of there. The story how is crazy within itself. Okay, but he went back to the place 6 months later. And the first thing that he did was to erase that R.I.P. Okay? Was to re-establish his name. Okay, so what Elon Oz told us is that, it's like you go to places, okay, you go to the public washrooms. Okay, and you see on the back of the stall, and it says, so-and-so was here in, 2012. Okay, you're leaving a name. Okay, the name is what are people going to think about you? Okay, the name is going to be what mark have you left? What have you imprinted here? What have you changed for better or for worse? What's your name? Okay, and it doesn't matter how much physical goodness you had. It doesn't matter what kind of a life you lived. Okay, there's only one thing that's going to be left. God willing, after 120 years, what name did you leave? What imprint did you make on people's lives? Okay? It's like I heard a story that someone I think in LA, he put down in his will that he wants to be buried in his Rolls Royce. Okay? What are you taking down to the grave with you? Only one thing, your name. Okay? And here's what I want to contemplate with you guys. Where does that come from? The name that we express, the imprint that we leave on people. Okay, because it's not just that our name is how people relate to us. There's something even more essential, I think. Okay? Because by what standards do people relate to us? Okay, by what standards do people remember us? Okay? It's our actions. Okay, and it's a very deep point, and I want you guys to think about it. What determines our actions? Okay, what's going to determine how I'm going to behave, what kind of a lifestyle I'm going to take upon myself? Okay, there's only one thing that's going to define my name, and that is, what do I think about myself? Okay? I have the opportunity now, okay, to say something really mean to someone else. Okay? Or I can hold back and not say it. Or I can say something really nice. What's going to determine, at the end of the day, what's going to determine how I react to this person, how I behave with this person? Only one thing. Am I going to allow myself to be a mean person? Do I regard myself as a mean person? Okay? My name is going to be a reflection of how I relate to myself. Okay? Let's take another example, okay? Let's say that I believe that that I'm a fish. Doesn't happen so often. Once in a while, once every few months, I get this thing, and I think that it doesn't work out though. Okay, it works out very bad because I don't have any friends amongst the fish. Okay, and I lose my, I'm not able to breathe for a while, so it always ends up bad. But anyway, what happened over here is I created a name for myself, which is fish. Okay, I called myself Guppy, the fish. Okay, but I was way off in my self-awareness and understanding who I am. Okay, I created a bad name for myself. A name which doesn't accurately portray, it doesn't accurately sum up the totality of who I am. Okay? And that's what happens to us sometimes. Okay, when I react badly, when I behave badly, okay, disrespectfully to someone else, okay, then yes, that's true, that's an expression of the fact that I consider myself someone who's capable of doing such a thing, okay, but that is not necessarily an accurate analysis of myself. Okay? Even though that's the name I'm leaving, that's not necessarily what my true name is. Okay, do you want to know the story of redemption? The story of redemption is about one thing and one thing only. Okay? Are we able to get in touch with ourselves? Okay? What are our decisions going to be? What name am I going to leave in the world? Okay? Judaism, we've been discussing this for a number of weeks. Judaism makes a claim, okay, the Torah teaches, that man is created in the image of God. Man is godly. Okay? So now the question is, what name am I going to leave in the world? Am I going to leave a name of being godly? Do I recognize that in myself? Okay, do I have something absolute? Do I have something huge? Something eternal to bring to the world and to change in the world? Okay? Or do I not yet realize that about myself? Okay? My name is going to be an expression of how I see myself. Okay? And that's why the entire story of names, okay, is the story of the redemption, and the story of the redemption is a story about getting to know God's name. You know, there's the Kabbalistic sources which teach that our name, our personal names, okay, are part of the great name of God. Okay, so that may seem like very esoteric and, can't understand. But let's try to take it down to our level to try to understand what that means to us. Okay? Can I recognize that I have something unique to reveal about God? Okay, and something about the way that I relate to myself and my own self-awareness and revelation, okay, is about revealing a much bigger story. Okay? The entire story and the history of the world, by the way, the word history, you can make a play on words, his story, history, okay? Okay, there's a story here. Okay, there's a story about God becoming revealed, becoming manifest through us. Okay, through our own awareness and through our own connection with ourselves. Okay? And the theme of the story of life is one thing, it's a name. Okay? The prophet prophesies, and with this we're going to conclude. Okay? The prophet in Zechariah prophesizes, okay, what's going to be at the end of the day, at the end of days. Vayah Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz. We say it every day in our prayers. Vayah Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz. Okay, Hashem will be king over the entire land. Bayom hahu yeh Hashem echad v'shmo echad. On that day, okay, God will be one and His name will be one. Okay, there will be a revelation of His name. Okay, and that's taking place through us. Okay, through the decisions we make, through the way that we relate to ourselves. Okay, the entire theme of life, what our world looks like, comes down to what kind of a world am I willing to live in? Okay? When I see a piece of garbage on the floor, okay? Person can ask themselves, it's below my honor to pick it up. Or a person can look at himself and say, it's below my honor to sit in a room where there's garbage on the floor. Okay? And the world that we create, okay, is a reflection of how we relate to ourselves. Okay? And the message of Judaism is that the more that we believe in our godly self, okay, the more that we have something eternal, something absolute to bring to the world, okay, that's going to be reflected in our actions. Okay, and that's going to change the entire scope, the entire world that we live in. Right? That's the question of being. Okay, from the very first verse in the Torah. Okay? The entire theme of Judaism, okay, and the most fundamental message that Judaism is trying to teach, okay, is to try to decipher what our name is. Okay? To think about who we are and what kind of a name do I want to leave on the door. Right? Who was here and what are people going to think? Not because it's important what people think, okay, but because essentially that's the world that I'm creating. Okay, it's a reflection of how I relate to myself. Okay, that's the name, and that's the story that's Judaism. Okay, is to get in touch with ourselves. Okay, and to realize and to reveal what our true name is. Okay, that's what redemption is. That's the story. Have a great day, guys. That's it.